But of course, Craig is joining us again this morning. Craig, we talked a lot about those storms last night. I know today is again weather impact alert, but this morning, I should say, off to a great start. We got the ships right there behind you.
Yeah, you see, these are two of the tall ships, and we're going to get into our weather impact alert, but I wanted to start off just by mentioning this tall ship right here. This is the German tall ship, the Gorsch Fock. Okay, and if you can take that, Connor, I don't know if you have the ability to take this full screen. I wanted to mention, you see their sails are tightly wound. We've got storms coming in this afternoon, and I know the crews and the captains and the pilots, those that deal with those, vessels in our harbor, they're going to be watching very, very closely with the developing storms a bit later on. I had a chance to talk to one of the crewmen there right at the gangway, and as I was talking to him about what he noticed about Hampton Roads and how the crew felt, he said they were all just taken by how much respect and appreciation that all of the sailors and the military have in our community. I told him, I said, the military is such a huge part of who we are here in Hampton Roads, and he was really moved by that. He said the German crew really, really just thought the world of Hampton Roads, enjoyed it very much. Those ships set to move out, and it's a good thing because severe storms are going to be moving in. Let's go ahead and go back to Max 1. I want to talk about the weather headlines. We do have another round of downpours coming up today. So that's one of the big stories, potential for flooding, rain, severe storms possible. We do have a weather impact alert between 1 and 11. So 1 this afternoon through 11 o'clock this evening, we do have the potential for severe storms. We want folks to be mindful that this is something that could bring a host of issues. We'll jump into those in a moment. The good news is that once the front clears the area this evening, the winds are going to shift around, cooler, drier air will move in. We've got a beautiful Wednesday and Thursday. How about those impacts? Okay, again, 1 o'clock, they'll start out to the west, start pushing in as we go through the mid-afternoon, and by early evening, one heavy wave will move out. There may be some wraparound or residual storms kind of on the backside, and we'll see that stuff moving out a little later in the evening. We have the potential for damaging winds. I expect excessive rainfall, heavy downpours, a lot like what we saw yesterday. Isolated tornado, also a possibility. You really have to stay weather aware. Now, Connor, if I can come back out on camera, I want to take just a second when I talk about what you can do at home. Some things to think about. One, you want to keep checking back with us here at 13 News Now. Obviously, live impact news, all of our streaming through our app. You can follow us with your mobile devices. All that stuff's important that you get real-time updates. This is the one thing, models and projections, nothing beats real-time weather analysis when severe storms or life-threatening storms, in the case of flash flooding or whatever, when those occur, you're going to get the best coverage you can get by watching live local broadcasts. So you think about that. Check back with us. That's not just a plug. That's giving you some good advice. In addition, you want to make sure your batteries for your devices are charged ahead of time. We just said on the weather desk at 9 o'clock when I did that show, we had, I think around the peak last night, about 3,000 people without power. So these storms are going to be capable of blowing branches off of trees or knocking over some trees in some cases. We saw some of that earlier with last night's storms, Isle of Wight, a few other places, Surrey, some of these areas off to the north and west. With bigger storms rolling through Hampton Roads, we could see more power outages across the immediate area. So if you've got power banks, if you have cell phones, iPads, tablets, whatever you have, make sure everything's charged up this morning before the storms arrive later this afternoon. And then the other bit of advice that I really want to stress is make sure you have multiple ways to get alerts. All right. Hopefully you've got your 13 News Now mobile app there. We push out alerts. We push out our live coverage, all kinds of great information there. You can watch if you lose power through our mobile app. You can watch our coverage. That's great. But it's also good to maybe have a NOAA weather radio or have the TV on and then have your cell phone available, have some EAS potential ways to get that messaging because these storms can pop up. We had stories of fatalities coming from the Midwest, and a lot of the folks back in that part of the country, Illinois, back into Indiana and Kansas, there was some discussion that they didn't really know some of this stuff was getting as bad as it was until it was too late. So I don't mean to get real preachy there, but that's what we talk. We say stay weather aware, monitor for updates, have your stuff ready, have multiple ways of getting the information, and then act on those warnings. Don't go, it's a warning. We get these things all the time. I'm not going to worry about it. Know what's going on around you. All right, severe storm outlook, level 2. That's a slight risk today. I do anticipate it. That's for the entire area. Primary threats, going to be excessive rainfall. If you want to go back to max 1, Connor, we can take that. Rainfall, heavy, damaging winds, and then there is that risk of an isolated tornado or two. Hail threat is lower, thank goodness. We're not worried about large hail with this, but I do think wind and rain are going to be big issues. We have a flood watch from 1 o'clock to 11. See what we did there? It coincides with our weather impact alert. So potential for flash flooding, and that has been expanded. When I came in this morning, it was just the peninsula and south side. It is now expanded to include the eastern shore, northern neck, middle peninsula, all the way out to I-95. All right, so here's a look at the satellite and the radar images. You can see there is some wet weather out to the west. I'll go ahead and put the front on here, and we're going to zoom in and take a little closer look at where that wet weather is. We are still dry. Let me take all of that off, go to the live. Well, there's a look at the mosaic radar, but I want to go to the live radar so you can see what's showing up out there right now to the west. You're going, okay, some showers out there. Yeah, we see that off to the north. Rainfall's a little more intense. We pick up the DC radar out of Sterling. You can see some heavy rain approaching the District of Columbia. So there's already some heavier rain off to the north. For our area, we're in great shape. If you have some errands you need to do, now's the time to do it. If you want to get in some exercise, get it done. This is the time. You still have a few hours before it gets nasty around here, but eventually that nasty weather is going to come. We'll take a look at the futurecast, and you can see how those storms fill in. By 3 o'clock, we've got some intense cells showing up off to the north. Areas up around the middle peninsula. The peninsula, I'll go ahead and put the pointer on the map here so you can see what I'm talking about. See those cells there, those dark red cells? Those could be isolated heavy downpours as we take a look back down to the south here. Parts of North Carolina, seeing some of that out around Ahoskie, a little bit showing up around the Outer Banks there, a little bit of that here and there. All right, same thing. Could see it popping up just about anywhere, but it's going to become more likely 4:30, 5 o'clock. At this point, storms are ripping across Southside Hampton Roads metro area. I would say anywhere from Naval Station, Norfolk, northern parts of Suffolk, even Isle of Wight still dealing with some heavy downpours. But that then extends across Ocean View, over towards Chicks, North End, down through the ocean front, southern Virginia Beach, all the way into North Carolina. You could be looking at some very intense downpours. 5 o'clock, that sets up a nasty evening commute. So you think about standing water on some of the roads, ponding, cars having issues, very concerned with that. As we go past 6:30, 7 o'clock, that heavy wave should be moving east. We may see more intense rain off to the north. Could see some lingering areas hanging back through 8:30, 9 o'clock. By 10 or 11, it's pretty much out, and then we welcome that drier push of air coming in overnight. How about rainfall potential? All right, this model, the graph, backed off a little bit from what it had earlier. It did have 1 to 2 inches, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach. Now they're saying up to about a half an inch. Don't drop your guard, okay? If we get heavier cells and they're slow movers, anywhere could see 1 to 2 inches, and maybe even 2 to 4, some of those heavier areas, Wakefield, West Point. Look up on the eastern shore, 4 inches, 6 inches, somewhere in that range. That's a lot of rainfall.
And Craig, when you talk about, we talk about that flood watch, right? And that's a part of this scenario. That is not necessarily correlated to what we're seeing here. That's as much about how quickly the rain falls in certain flood-prone areas.
So, yes and no.
Okay.
All right. What you're talking about there is flash flooding. Okay. And if we do get a tremendous amount of rain, let's say rainfall rates in excess of an inch or an inch and a half an hour, and you get 45 minutes of that, that rain comes down so quickly it can't be absorbed into the ground if there's pavement or hard surfaces, and so much is because we've been in drought, it runs off quickly. Now, I will say we're in a very beneficial area that so much of the heavy rain, Outer Banks, Eastern Shore, along the bay, the sounds, it runs right into the ocean water and into our sounds and inlets. But there are poor drainage areas, and we have such low low level, we are at such a low elevation that areas that are poor to drain can really fill up, kind of like a bathtub. So, those poor drainage areas, you could see that. What we have here is actually a flood watch versus a flash flood watch. So flash flooding comes up, just overwhelms the systems, and we get that. I think there will be some flash flooding or excessive rainfall. But this is a flood watch, just meaning cumulatively lots of rain over time could lead to drainage issues. Great question, Connor. And again, Matthew, if you have anything you want to ask about, jump on in. 5 different models here that we have. The NAM, that's a high-res model. The HER and the Graph, all high-res models. They're all calling for significant amounts of rain. And this is really, the bulk of this will come through this afternoon and this evening. It says over the next 48 hours, but we're dry late tonight and tomorrow. So this is really about what comes today. The global models, the GFS and the Euro, calling for anywhere from 1 inch to 3 inches. Again, I don't put too much in the globals other than, there's a widespread area of rain. So this is what we're looking at. Out on the water, small craft advisories up for the bay. I still can't believe they don't have one for the ocean waters, because I think there will be some strong storms with special marine warnings. I'm going to just double check real quick. I'm going to leave that up for a second. And I'm just calling up the National Weather Service marine forecast to see if they change that, because I really feel like with the chances for storms, it would make sense to put up a small craft advisory anyway. And again, know that with the stronger storms, you could get those. Nope, still only for the bay. That it does include the entire Chesapeake Bay, and then the Outer Banks to the east down around Oregon Inlet on south. They also have a small craft advisory, but technically east of Virginia Beach, there is not a small craft advisory right now. Still, all that being said, you just heard me say it, guys. Be prepared just in case we get those severe storms. Special marine warnings will go up. All right, Connor, is this a good break time and come back maybe with a detailed look at our extended forecast?
I think that's a fantastic idea,
I just
Craig.
want to give you that option.
Listen,
I know I'm looking at the clock.
So I have to say, I have to give myself the smallest amount of possible kudos. Is shortly before you said that, I thought perhaps we can squeeze a break in
this
here.
This might be a good time.
But then you were just cooking. I didn't want to take you down. Okay, that's a great idea, Craig. Let's roll break here. We will be right back with more weather on Live Impact News.